Welcome to the latest episode of 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Thanks for joining us on your favorite podcast app on Apple Podcasts. On Android, we recommend Spotify. Also, check out the 5 Reasons YouTube channel for all your South Florida sports content. Messi and Company, 3 yards per carry, Panthers content, and more. Also, Off the Floor, links right here in the description. You'll bypass the Apple upcharge. Tell you all the time, the place for the most heat anywhere, the most heat information and conversation. Once you go there, you can cancel at any time, but nobody does. There's a reason for that. Get off of Twitter. Get off of Elon's platform. Come check us out over on Off the Floor. Also, PrizePicks. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. The Dolphins may be dormant, but there's plenty of NFL to play there as well as NBA. If you haven't been playing that Norm Powell more every single game, I don't know what you're doing. It's easy money. Use the code 5, F-I-V-E. Erase the other code if you see one. Put this one in. You get $50 in free lineups. And now, today's episode.
Uh-oh. Yeah. It's Mercy. Music by Mercy again. Heat Nation. We the culture. Yo, E, I need you to call timeout. Need Brady to set the floor plan. Tropical blanket. Open for the shot. Yo, Greg, set the pit. Still 5 on the floor, still ride for my dog. Still battle on the court, still survive in the war. Keep your eye on the ball, or get burned from the keep this mic off the wall without turning the cheek. From night to day, no sleeping paths or allowed to morning. The nut is sleeping us, never catch us snoring. Live from Miami, report in the heat with 5 Reasons Sports from the courts to the streets. Yeah, Wake County, Heat Nation, we say it proudly.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Welcome back to 5 on the Floor. Here's today's floor plan. I'm Ethan Skolnick. You can follow me at Ethan J. Skolnick and at 5 Reasons Sports. I got Greg Sylvander. You can follow him at Greg Sylvander. And we're going to focus less on the basketball part of this and do a short episode because I don't want to let it pass about what Erik Spoelstra did in this last game, just being there at all. So we're going to get into that here a little bit, Greg and I was on scene last night with Brady and Alex. The Heat win, first of a back-to-back, 5-4 on the season. They beat Charlotte, another testament to the work that Erik Spoelstra did this offseason, freeing their offense. It's funny, their defensive rating is higher than their offensive rating. I bet most people don't know that. Anthony Chang put that out today. Top 5 in the league in defensive rating. You're saying, how is that possible? Well, when they're giving up some points, it's because the pace is so much higher. You have to pace it just down for them. It's the first time that's ever happened under Spoelstra, according to Anthony, that they're playing this new style. The offense is keeping up. The defense is actually what's spurring them, at least according to the metrics, which is, again, hard to believe. They're going into this next game without Bam, without Hero, maybe without Jaquez. Norm Powell tweaked his ankle, too. We don't have a report on that yet. But I want to get into the Spoelstra part of this because, honestly, and I'll just say this flat out as somebody who's known him peripherally and in some other ways over 3 decades. I started covering the team in 1996, so we're talking about 3 decades. Spo was already there, was kind of in the background. We'd say hello, that kind of stuff. I got to know him a little bit more over his time as assistant, particularly when he became Stan's top assistant, 03-04. Of course, he gets the head coaching job in 2008. He's the longest tenured coach in the entire NBA. And it's remarkable in this profession when you get to see someone kind of grow up in front of you. That's one of the reasons why I was so appreciative of following Zach Thomas and Jason Taylor's careers from beginning to end, following Dwayne's career, other than that 1.5-year blip from beginning to end, and really following Spoelstra's career from beginning to end. I'm 3 years younger than him. It's the only thing I have on him. I've got nothing else. And so, and yes, I'm keeping the beard, Spo. But that's, it is remarkable to see someone grow up and become kind of a pillar of the community. And, I put this out there today. I don't know that there's a more popular active sports figure in South Florida. The only one is Messi, but I don't, it's very hard to claim him.
Correct.
Barkov with the Panthers, as far as being sort of universally respected by those who follow the sport. But as far as someone, UD's retired. He's doing a great job on Amazon. Dwayne's gone. Zoe's in the front office. The Dolphins, unfortunately, don't have anybody who meets any of these characteristics. The Marlins, nobody knows who their names are at this stage. The Canes players come and go. It's pretty much Spo that I just think there's this genuine affection for, and I don't know how that couldn't grow after last night. I don't know how he was there, Greg. Honestly, and that's one of the things we're going to talk about because I'm not reporting anything. Don't aggregate anything. I'm not getting inside of his head. This isn't from information I got from anybody else. I have to think he's got to take a leave of absence at some point as a human being. And I'll get into some of the reasons why I think this might end up happening at some point. Last night was a lot on adrenaline, I think. Again, just watching him as a human being and then kind of getting close to breaking down in the post-game press conference where he said he just wanted to go home. Again, there's still no cause for the fire or anything along those lines, but you come home from a road trip and that's what you find. Yes, your kids are safe. That's the most important thing. His dog was safe. That's right behind it. But I mean, he accumulated. It wasn't just stuff that he had. I know he said if it can't be replaced, at least it doesn't matter in the grand scheme. But I know, Greg, like he would reach out to people who work for the Heat, people who are in like the radio side, and when they had photos of him that he cared about, I know there was one of him with Jack that Jose Pineda has told this story that he wanted, Jack Ramsey. I mean, I got to think so much of that was in that house. I got to think that signed jerseys were in that house. I got to think that memorabilia from the Olympics in that house, his own rise in that house, stuff from his family in that house. That is overwhelming, I've got to think. And money does not solve that. So for people who are saying that, don't. But just your thoughts on it, and then kind of on the other side of this, we'll get into where this goes.
Yeah, I was pretty shocked initially, and there was like photos circulating of him standing, what appeared to be standing in front of the house. And initially, my initial reaction when I saw those was that has to be photoshopped. Like there's no way that they're actually basically he like was under a microscope in one of the most vulnerable, like awful moments that you could think of. Because you're right, money doesn't save your kid's first pair of J's that you're saving, or the little blanket that they slept with, whatever those things are. I know that some days I wake up and if I don't feel well, I struggle. If I just have a stomach ache, I'm like, God, am I going to be able to get up and get through today and go to work? His level of professionalism is downright inspiring because for him, it not just showing up last night, Ethan, but he's had a rough go personally. Riley alluded to it. He didn't like that. Because he makes no excuses. And so it's just such a great example of somebody who thinks he's not sitting around thinking about himself. And that is apparent in the way that he conducts himself. And it's inspiring because as someone who has had trials, tribulations, whether it's my mother passing or, family illnesses, I know how hard it is to get up and do it day after day. And he does it. And it's at such a high level. So you have to respect that to the utmost degree.
Yeah, and I want to get into on the other side what the players talked about last night because I got a chance to speak to some of them on the side about the whole experience. But again, speaking for myself, I mean, I went through a divorce, and there's certain things that I think about still that I never found. When boxes move, when you just never found all this stuff from back when, and it still bothers me. And it's like a few things. I can't imagine. I've dug through storage boxes, spent Saturday afternoons, in the storage rooms trying to find things that I know I'm not going to find. And again, you're talking about everything. And not only that, he spent a year renovating the place. When they had the party there, and this was on social media, these, the guys were there. Like that was basically like a welcome to my new house party that he was sharing with his team. And you saw the joy that they all had being together there. And, it was him sort of symbolizing a fresh start after last season. And again, it's all gone. I don't want to get into causes and theories and that kind of stuff. Let the authorities handle what the investigation is going to handle. But I'm just saying that as far as you got to think about it from the emotional toll. Now, again, he travels half the time. Okay. He's already in a split custody situation. I know what that's like. And so it's just, you're trying to manage all of that. And then additionally, you got to deal with the logistical stuff. Like, it's not as easy as saying hire somebody to go through it. Like, there's going to be walkthroughs through that house. There's going to be, he's dealing with different authorities. There's all kinds of investigations that are going to be run. There's insurance. There's all of this. This is not as simple as making a phone call. Like, seriously, like, I mean, try to get a new license from the DMV and you're waiting 4 months. Like, you're talking about, trust me, in Florida, you are. It's sick.
You have to try to remember everything you owned.
Everything. You have to document all of this stuff. Like, I'm just thinking about this from the emotional part is enough. I don't know how he did that last night. I don't. Okay. But just the logistical standpoint of this, like, yes,
even
he has the heat.
Administratively, it's just
Administratively,
like so
I can't even process it. Like, I have a little list of like a to-do list that I scribble into every day. And one of the idiots in my network needs me to go get them a credential somewhere. I got to flip I mean, literally, like, and I love you all, but I'm just saying, like, it's like, I get 25 texts. Have you done this yet? Could you imagine what he's doing? And with 3 kids, in a split custody situation, and he's trying to lead men, coach a basketball team. He's going to be on the road for half the time. And it's not like the season is almost over. The season, like, literally just started. Like, if this happened, I'm not saying it would have been better, but if it happened in July, okay, at least there's a time to kind of reset and figure all this out. And the team would have given him as much time as he needed. But remember, one of the things that Pat said, and I know he wasn't supposed to say it, but that Spo needed to go recharge, and he did come back recharged. He came back with a new system. He came back. I noticed the difference in him when I saw him in Vegas. He was much more sort of genial. He had sort of light back in his face again. It's a lot, man. I understand that we have enough philosophy that he's put in there, and that's what I want to get to on the other side. But I just Heat fans need to be patient with this, because I can't imagine the idea that he's going to go through all 82. I have a hard time envisioning that. I mean, there's going to be times he's called to the house. Like, I got to, he's got to meet with this person. He's got to make this phone call. Like, and he's off limits. Like, when he's with the team, he's off limits. Like, he can't have his cell phone in the pocket.
But anyway, this is why Quinny got elevated, and I think has like they'll trust him in that role, and that's part of kind of the structure of this is the trust that they've built for each person to do their job to the best of their ability. So I feel like they'll figure that stuff out. It's going to be similar to with Andy, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Hard to keep Spo away. That's probably what Pat's going to be saying to Spo. Listen, go take care of that stuff, and Spo's going to want to be in the gym.
Well, right. And I for those who don't know Andy's situation, what he dealt with this summer, which was obviously, traumatic and significant in its own way. That's a health issue, which again, we knew about, but we wanted the team to put it out when they put it out. Adam Simon filled in for Andy, and has been on the road lately, in place of Andy. And, they've managed it because and this is part of having a stable organization. It is, where the people trust and respect each other. And that, again, is not what every organization in South Florida, for sure, or in the NBA has. And so that's what makes them unique and different. And that's when people talk about them as an organization. That's why no matter what I think of certain decisions, I'm never going to question what they are as an organization. They are the kind of organization you'd want to work for. And I can say, as someone who had my own personal issues, they're the kind of organization you would want to associate with because of the way that they handle things with me and with others. And also with Spo, I've told this story so many times, but when another writer lost his son, tragically in the middle of the night, when I went to the memorial service, Spo had sent this long text to him. He hadn't seen this writer in 3 years. He's a different quality of human being, I think, than we encounter in this space. And I'll get to more of it on the other side, and then we'll wrap this up. But I just think I want to do this episode because I think Heat fans need to give grace on this. I'm not saying you can't criticize a rotation. It's his job. But if he ends up taking 3 weeks off, understand it. I can't imagine just to reset. Okay. Well, one thing that you need to do is reset the way that you send money. Okay. Because you got to make sure that it is safe, that it is secure, and you got to use Cash App. So we're going to tell you first thing that you need to download Cash App using the code SECURE10. We'll tell you more about that in a second. But also, Get the card. Built-in card security that keeps your money safe, the protections you expect. When you get the Cash App card, not only do you get access to a ton of perks and benefits like exclusive early access to nationwide concert pre-sales or discounts on popular brands, but you also have extra security with the power to instantly lock or unlock your card right from your phone in just one tap. If a suspicious transaction pops up on your card, Cash App has your back by automatically declining the purchase and sending you a heads up to confirm if it's you or not. Behind the scenes, you can rest assured knowing your account balance is protected by 24/7 fraud monitoring. Spend with peace of mind today and order a Cash App card in the app or at cash.app/card. Also, for a limited time, new Cash App customers can earn $10 if they use the code SECURE10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Terms apply. Cash App is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cash App's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member of FDIC. Discounts provided by Cash App, a Block Inc. brand. Visit cash.app/legal/podcast for full disclosures. So I'm just going to give a little bit of the locker room scene last night. Pella Larson talked about it, but I had the chance to talk to Drew Smith on the side. And the reason I chose Drew is because if there's anybody in that locker room who embodies resilience, it's him. Also, Drew's incredibly well-spoken, and I've just enjoyed getting to know him a little bit over his time. He basically said that the team didn't know anything when they landed. Nobody knew anything. So the call comes in at 4:30 and they ended up sending 20 units. Spo gets off the plane around 5-ish. It all hits. He goes to the house. The players then after that, they found out mostly after naps. Because you got to remember, they took across, almost a cross country flight back. And so Drew was telling me that he'd take a nap and his wife woke him up at around 1 p.m. Is like, did you see what happened to Spo's house? And that's how the majority of them found out. And then Drew was faced with something that I think all of us are faced with when someone is going through something. And I never handled this well, and I never know how to handle this. He was like, do I text or do I not text? And so he decided to text, but he's like, I don't know if I'm, I don't know if I'm, bothering him at this point. I mean, he got hundreds of texts, I'm sure. He kind of alluded to that.
Yeah.
And so he basically said, he sent a text, but said, don't feel you need to get back to me anytime soon. And he talked to other players, and they had all done the same. And they were not expecting to see him for a while. He was not expecting to see him for a while. And, the fact that he was there, he addressed it much the same way with the team that he did with the media, which was kind of like, the kids are safe. That's what's important and all of that. But I can tell you, based on my conversation with him, he wouldn't be surprised if Spo takes some time off. I don't think anybody in that locker room would blame Spo if he did. It's just one of those things. You just don't know what to say. Again, loss of a house is not the same as loss of a life. I'm not equating those two things, but it's very personal. It's violating, like you said, to have the video of him, with his hand, on the back of his head, like looking at what happened. Like nobody wants their worst moments televised.
I didn't think it was real. I
Right.
have to emphasize that again. Like initially I got offended by it, thinking it was like
Right.
a created
AI.
image. But so that we could be doing a whole show, Ethan, on Spoelstra having the humility to look at his offense and completely revamp it. And like, I'm putting down the tragic incident for one moment, just to say that like, there's so much we could be dissecting about what Spoelstra's doing on a professional level. And for him to then do it last night with what he's got, there's all the balls in the air, and the one ball that, will break if you drop it is like the family ball. And this is really close to that. And he's juggling and he's doing it so well. It's pretty incredible. And it transcends X's and O's and basketball bullshit. Like it
Right.
really, there's a human part of this that I think it's good for fans to tap into that every once in a while and remember that these are not robots.
No, and fans forget that. And I saw in the second quarter yesterday, and again, this is fair game. Okay. When they scored 53 points in the first quarter, and then in the second quarter, they were awful. And I saw fans criticizing Spo, criticize him for rotations, criticize him for all that. But criticizing him for the way he's handling this, or no, I didn't see anybody doing that, but I'm saying like not appreciating the way that he's handling this, I think, is pretty myopic. And I just, again, if he needs the time, and even if those 3 weeks sink the season, that's what happens. Okay. That's just, I'm saying like that is what matters is him getting his head right. I just sensed, as someone who's gone through some things and had to try to work through them, you go through this process where it's adrenaline. It's sort of this euphoric type thing. And then there's no middle.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Grief is up and down. It is not a linear journey at all. And there's just elements of this that will undoubtedly evoke grief, and he'll have to process that. We don't want to psychoanalyze any of that, but it's just human nature that we know that that's the kind of stuff he's going to have to be processing. And to do that while also, doing one of the most demanding gigs from an attention perspective, it's just it's a ton. So shout out to him. Really,
it's one of the most high profile gigs in all of South Florida. I mean, he is, people know who he is, and the Big Three elevated him to a certain degree into that space. And
the new generation knows Spo more than
Spo more than Pat. They do. Exactly. And look, you could feel, again, as someone who's gone through this, and without psychoanalyzing, you could feel the denial there a little bit as he kind of just coached through the game. And then he acknowledged it after the game, where he turned to Quinny and he's like, it just hit me. And, that stuff. And again, we don't give enough grace to what people in this industry deal with on a regular basis. And again, it's not excuses. He's a no excuses person. But all I can tell you, and I'll close this, is the level, and Drew spoke to this, the level of respect that he gained just by being there yesterday. It's
coach of the year done.
Well, I think he's trending that way anyway, and I should have bet on it, as we say, to speak of another topic that he'd have had to deal with this year. But I just think it's a shame. But honestly, recognition as the USA basketball coach is much more meaningful than some Coach of the Year award, where most of the guys are fired in 2 years anyway. Anyway, respect to Spo. We'll get back to criticizing his ass tomorrow. That's what we do here, and that's what we're going to continue to do that. And I hope that he respects the way we do it, although he doesn't listen to us. Others do, but he in that building, but he does not. But and he doesn't give a damn what we say, and he shouldn't. But we're going to get back to it tomorrow anyway. But I hope that it all works out for him for the best. And like I said, if he takes a leave, understand it. That's all. All right, have a good one.
Thank you for listening to the 5 on the Floor on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. After all, someone needs to listen to my dad.